It is time for NRCS Partyline here on KASM Radio. NRCS Partyline is brought to you by Wimmer Opticians, St. Cloud, Atlas Family Chiropractic of Waite Park. It is a Monday, March the 16th, 2020. We've got some clouds, some rain showers happening outside. Our temp looks like we're at 31 degrees and southwest winds at about 7 and some rain showers here and there. Otherwise cloudy through the rest of the day today. My name is Brad Melke. Good morning. In studio with us from the Stearns County Soil and Water Conservation District, Dennis Fuchs, administrator there. Also from the NRCS District Conservationist, Chris Hogge. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Brad. How you doing?
I am doing wonderful. How are things in your end of the woods, the office?
Good. Yes, sir. The USDA Service Center, where the Stearns County Soil Water Conservation District is co-located with the Natural Resources Conservation Service, is open for business.
People walking in and out.
Yes. We do, with staff and kids and schools being closed, it definitely is throwing a dent in our ability to get some work done. But we are open for business and are ready to help folks get her done.
Yeah, some of our staff with children are doing telework, so they're still able to do the job and get it done, but they're just going to be doing it at home. They'll still be available by phone, or you can call the office if you have any questions. So we'll still be operations as best we can.
We, I should say, I was at a funeral on Saturday, and we ended up going to the Greenwell Pub afterwards to celebrate the life of my aunt, Rosie Meyer. But we were we practiced social distancing. We didn't sit too close to anyone. We didn't shake many hands, and we did have one shot of blackberry brandy just to stay on the safe side. Make sure
course.
that we nip that in the bud. I don't know if that really helps, but it was fun anyhow just to have one.
I figured by now you'd be immune to it if that was what it took.
So social distancing, is that the new phrase that I just learned this morning apparently? Or?
Yeah, keeping yourself away from others. 6 feet or further.
Or plexiglass between us like we have here in the studio.
Yeah, that's nice. Don't spit on me.
No, none of that stuff. So we are here to talk about some stuff, including, trees.
Yeah, let's just talk a little bit about that. So the SWCD sells trees. A lot of soil water conservation districts sell trees. And this is not to compete with the landscape companies out there that sell the larger potted trees that are ready to be put beside the house and provide shade in a few years. These are for mass plantings where you've got to do a windbreak or a shelter belt or a wildlife planting out in your CRP acres or just on some land you would like to improve the wildlife habitat. So we do sell trees. These are sold in bundles of 25. They're bare root, so they're easy to transport. And we do have trees available for sale yet. And a couple that are still in very good supply include the red maple, the Norway pine or red pine, and the American plum. And these trees, we have a lot of those left yet. And I think a lot of folks with the emerald ash borer come in. It has been spotted here in Stearns County and the surrounding counties. We're going to see additional ash trees dying, and we need to be proactive in getting some other varieties out there. And the red maple certainly is an option to provide a different type of tree for wildlife and shade. So if you're interested in pursuing these trees, just get online. You can order these right online any time of the day. You don't even have to come in the office or drive over and take the chance of getting coronavirus. So you can just do this stuff online. And it's right on our website. Just do a Google search for Stearns County, SWCD, and you'll see up in the upper right-hand corner of the webpage, trees and shrubs. And then there's a lot of details on there about what kind of value these different shrubs and trees and conifers provide for wildlife and how they are suitable or suitability for your type of soil versus, say, you got a clay loam soil or a sandy soil. It'll tell you what tree does the best for your soils on our website. So just a great opportunity to access these, and you pay for them. And then the first weekend in May is when we're going to have tree pickup. And anybody that orders trees will get a postcard in the mail a couple weeks in advance to let folks know this is a tree pickup. And usually it's Friday, and we've got guys out there to help move the bundles into your vehicle, and you actually pay for them online, so everything's done, and it's very, very quick process. And this year, we're going to be working out of the Waite Park maintenance building, real close to our office. That's where tree pickup is going to be, and that address will be included on the postcard that's being sent out to folks here it's coming up quick in a few weeks.
Do you guys dip your roots in water? So should they be bringing plastic to cover their seats and stuff so they don't get it dirty?
Yeah, typically when we prepare the bundles, we do try to protect them. But once we transfer them to the landowner, it's nice if they have garbage bags or something, 5-gallon buckets to shove them in, just to keep them moist. And that's a very important thing. But there is no guarantee on these trees. That's extremely difficult to do when you're picking up hundreds of trees and they die. We have no idea how they were treated after they left our facility. But if you treat them right, typically they do a very good job.
We've used these trees for windbreaks when I was out in Wheaton, and they had really good when they tied it to the mat that you put down with them to keep the weeds down. So we had pretty good success with a lot of them, probably over 90% survival rate when they're taken care of. So they're pretty good trees to get.
That's something else that we just recently started selling is a mat that helps control weeds around. It's like a 3-foot by 3-foot square with a little hole cut in it and a slit where you can slide that over the tree. And then we also sell staples. This helps keep weeds down, and then also it acts as a mulch where it helps conserve moisture around the roots, and it's just makes for a faster growing tree right from the get-go with less competition from weeds and also keeping that soil a lot more moist around the roots. That's very helpful.
How late can you order the trees before they...
The sooner the better, because once they're sold out, they're sold out, and we do have other varieties that are available, and we've still got some paper birch, we got black cherry, we got crab apple, cranberry bush, gray dogwood, rhodosier dogwood, hackberry, American linden, another opportunity to replace your ash tree with linden, sugar maple, bur oak, and red oak, and I already said red pine and red maple. And then American plum, I mentioned already. We're already sold out of Juneberry. That's also known as serviceberry. We're sold out of that. We do have some Black Hills spruce and tamarack, which is very good for wetter soils, and then also black walnut. And we also do sell pollinator packets if you'd like to get some pollinator established on your house or around your farm. We got a 100 square foot packet or a 500 square foot packet, and that they're not cheap. They're $20 for a 100 foot and $40 for a large, the 500 square feet area. But it includes a lot of the native flowering species, so you'll have flowering occurring early in the spring, summer, and fall. So it's really good for our pollinators. And we do have that for sale also.
So folks who are interested in doing tree plantings and aren't sure about what they want to plant, we do have staff available that will help you determine which species of plants would be most successful in your soil types, location, whatever you'd like to do. Just kind of come in with what your plans are, your goal is for the trees, and we can help you establish how you want to plant them and what they are.
Do the different varieties vary in price very much, or?
A little bit.
You got 10 seconds.
10 seconds. They range from like $35 to $45.
Okay, very good. We'll talk more with our guests, Dennis Fuchs, Chris Hogge, Coming up after our news break, 9:30, it's KASM Radio. All right, more Answers Partyline today. My name is Brad Melke. Happy Monday to you. In studio, Dennis Fuchs, Administrator with the Stearns County Soil and Water Conservation District. Chris Hogge, District Conservationist of NRCS. Chris, you've got some stuff to talk about.
Yeah, I just wanted to. We've been crunching numbers from the 2019 year, and we've just come across, we got most of them kind of figured out, but it looks like we've provided about $10 million worth of cost assistance through federal, state, and local cost share programs. So it has been a pretty good year. So I just wanted to thank all the producers who participated in implementing projects on their ground, either through EQIP, CSP, any of the specialized programs that the local SWCD has provided, or state dollars. It's just been a really good year. Been really busy for staff, but we're looking forward to 2020. Right now we have about 64 new EQIP signups, and the practices range from, of course, manure storage and stacking facilities, which are working with dairies and beef producers and turkeys. We have a few applications for cover crops, some for high tunnels, and a few for irrigation water management. And those are just some of the practices we work with with producers to get some conservation put on the ground. Also, we've got CSP sign up running, and we have about 4 applications right now. We could do for a few more. I mean, we need to keep staff busy and working hard. So this is an opportunity. If you haven't been part of CSP, it's an opportunity for you to experiment with what they refer to as enhancements on your farming operation. It gives you the contract lasts for about 5 years, so you can basically experiment with some new ideas on your farming operation. You can see if they work for 5 years. If they don't, then you can get out of the program. If they do, it's something and you like it, it can be something that you add to your farming operation. So I'm sure you're like, well, give me an example. One of them would be nutrient management. There's a nutrient management enhancement. There's also a pest management enhancement that you can use. Cover crops is a really simple one. A lot of producers, when they come in for CSP, they would like to try cover crops, and you can experiment with that cover crop either in rotation, so it'd be corn, bean, small grain if you use it, cover crop after that, and it would follow your rotation. It wouldn't have to be in the exact same field every year. So that's been a change for the agency as we implemented that practice. Some other things that you can do with cover crops is interseed. You can interseed that either early on in the crop year, or you can have it flown on, or in some situations they have high boy that will put it over the top of a already mature crop. And then you can seed it after your cash crop, such as corn, bean, once you harvest it. And you can also do it, you would also be able to do it, another good opportunity, I should say, that is after silage. So drilling it in with a good, if you get a good rain, drill it in after that, and you should be okay to go with that. So those are just some of the enhancements we have. We have staff that will help you work through those. I know everybody's out there heard CSP is kind of a difficult program to work with. It's complicated, but we have staff in the office who are ready and prepared to help you work through that process and see if we can get applications and contracts in for you to get some assistance on some of those new practices.
Chris, you mentioned staff, and at our staff meeting last week, you mentioned that NRCS is now working toward filling the one remaining soil conservationist position in the office. Is that correct?
Yeah, we just filled the position in Stearns County, the soil con there. It isn't. I don't have a time when he's supposed to be showing up, but he is soon to arrive, and then we'll probably have him on the radio at that time.
Yeah, that'd be good training.
Yeah, break him in right.
Bring him on.
So that's really what I have. We got a lot of opportunity and cost assistance programs that we can help producers with. So if you're driving around in the springtime doing some planting and you see something that you want to have looked at, or you see something that causes you a little bit of anxiety, causes you an issue, then why don't you give us a holler? We can help you work your way through it. Maybe find some funds to make it a little bit easier to get it implemented.
All right, Chris, I just want to, and Brad, talk a little bit about typically every spring, the Soil Water Conservation District Board of Supervisors and myself will go down there and talk about some of our legislative priorities. Well, this year, because of the coronavirus, that has been canceled, and a lot of legislators are going to be working remotely to help get some of the work done that needs to be done yet this year, this session. But I wanted to share with the listeners just a couple of the legislative priorities we're going to visit with our legislators about. And they included bonding for CREP, the organization Minnesota Association of Soil Water Conservation Districts supports a $16.5 million in bonding funds for Minnesota's water quality focused Conservation Reserve Enhancement Program. That's CREP. This amount would complete the state matching dollars needed to fully leverage federal funding. And the CREP easement dollars are appropriated to the Board of Water and Soil Resources for soil water conservation districts to enroll interested landowners with marginal cropland in voluntary permanent conservation easements. Another thing that we were going to discuss is the SWCD supervisor compensation. Supervisors receive a per diem for attending a meeting, and currently that's at $75 per day for a meeting. And we're looking at increasing that to $125. And I know it's not enough for these folks that are trying to run a business such as a farm or crop consulting business and taking a day off to help set policy, conservation policy at the local level. But it is a little bit of something for these folks that are committed to local government and protecting our resources and sustaining our ag industry. So we're very excited about that. There's also addressed the unmet funding needs of SWCDs. That was another item. And then the Outdoor Heritage Fund, MASQUID, that's what I call the Minnesota Association of SWCDs. I call it MASQUID. Supports the funding recommendations of the Losard-Sams Outdoor Heritage Council, which includes Reinvest in Minnesota. That's RIM, easements funded that get administered locally by the SWCDs. And the final priority for 2020 was the Environmental and Natural Resources Trust Fund. And that's where the organization supports the funding and recommendations of the Legislative Citizen Commission on Minnesota Resources. That's the LCCMR committee, and they make recommendations on the best way to use those natural resources trust fund dollars. And we were fortunate enough here a couple years ago to receive some funding through the LCCMR, recommended by the LCCMR for the Environmental and Natural Resources Trust Fund. And we received approximately $400,000 to accelerate perennial crop production to prevent nitrate leaching. And this is where we're exploring Kernza in our Cold Spring Wellhead Protection Area. And that area has been experiencing some elevated nitrate levels in the community. And it's an opportunity to have some more perennials established in there. So we planted that last year. And we'll be having a field day out there sometime, probably in the latter part of July. Hopefully the coronavirus has mellowed out a little bit then, or that we've got a vaccination. So we're looking at doing that. So that'll be in the Cold Spring area. We're also working with the city of St. Cloud. Their wastewater treatment facility has 10 acres of Kernza planted, and they're applying biosolids on a portion of that field and examining how Kernza takes those nutrients up. Another part of this project is the research component, and that is over at Westport at the Roshholt Demonstration Farm. That's just west of Stearns County on the eastern side of Pope, very close to Stearns County, not that far from Sauk Center. And we're looking at establishing the Kernza, native prairie, and alfalfa. And then we're going to be putting in some lysimeters to determine the amount of water and the quality of that water with nitrates moving through the system. And we're hoping that we see very little nitrates come through the system. Some of the preliminary research that, or I should say old research that has been done with the University of Minnesota many, many moons ago when I was down at Lamberton in southwest Minnesota, we did similar types of plots with a corn-soybean rotation and alfalfa and CRP, but back in that day it was basically brome grass. And looking at the nitrate water from under these plots, The corn soybeans did have nitrates coming through the system, typically 25 part per million. The alfalfa and the brome grass, which was supposed to simulate CRP back in the day, was very low, typically 0 part per million. So we're hoping we see similar types of results with the research going on at the Rochhold demonstration farm near Westport. The other thing that's part of this project is to look at Kernza itself and come up with a food or beverage or products that folks can use. And we're working with the Ag Utilization Research Institute. They're an organization that helps bring value-added products to ag, and they are very excited to be working with us on this, and we're exploring lots of different ideas right now, and hopefully we'll be able to share some of those ideas at the field day this summer when we get that lined up and finalized.
So is it called Kernza, you said?
Yeah, Kernza.
What does it do to the nitrate? Does it utilize it for something? Or?
Yes, Kernza is a perennial, and which means it continues to grow year after year. The roots are very fibrous and deep. They go down over 10 feet, and they just scavenge. They look for nitrates. Whereas corn soybeans, their root systems aren't quite as they don't sequester nitrates as readily as some of these other crops. And you can have nitrates moving through the system. Nitrates are not attracted to soil particles. They move with water. So if you, like this past year, we had record rainfall events throughout Minnesota. We're going to see record amounts of nitrates moving through the tile lines into our surface waters and down into the Gulf of Mexico. And the bad thing when nitrates get down to the Gulf is it creates the dead zone, the hypoxic zone, where shrimp and other aquatic marine life have trouble surviving. So it's been throwing the shrimp industry off, and they've been trying to solve that problem with us doing a better job of managing our nitrates.
So the Kernza, does it chemically change the nitrate once it absorbs it? Or?
No, it takes it up in the plant and converts it into protein or plant material.
Okay.
Yep. And nitrates, nitrogen fertilizer is needed by crops. It's just some crops aren't able to hold on to it all, or if you get a massive rainfall, or if you're not doing a real good job of managing your irrigation water, and you can flush it through the soil profile, and that's not good. And, here for our drinking water supplies, if you have too much nitrates, you can have the blue baby syndrome, where it actually ties up the oxygen in baby's blood, and they actually turn blue, and it can be lethal, and that's something that we don't want to see happen. So in talking about this, the Minnesota Department of Ag, and they're very concerned about nitrates, and they have created the Minnesota Groundwater Protection Rule, and this is to minimize potential sources of nitrate pollution to the state's groundwater and protects our drinking water. The rule restricts fall application of nitrogen fertilizer in areas vulnerable to contamination, and it outlines steps to reduce the severity of problem in areas where nitrate in public water supply wells is already elevated, such as Cold Spring, and Melrose is also on that list. So this is based off of the nitrogen fertilizer plan, and so that's the foundation of the rule. And basically, that's the best management practices. Don't be applying nitrogen fertilizer on coarse textured soils in the fall. And do not apply this in drinking water supply management areas. But were you going to add something, Chris?
Yeah, I was just going to add that, did we not look for a special fund for helping folks with irrigation, water management, and the ag water quality?
Yes, we do have a special Bowser grant that we received. Bowser's the Board of Water and Soil Resources. This is how we access grant funds for projects here locally. And one of them was a cover crop irrigation, water management, and nutrient management type of fund to help producers in these vulnerable areas try these different practices. One of the things that also is a BMP, which you'd probably have a second guess sometimes, is chemigation, where you actually spoon feed nitrogen fertilizer or pesticides through the irrigation system. You have to have a double check valve on there, so to make sure you don't back siphon into our groundwater. So the Department of Ag is very cautious with these systems, so you got to make sure that they're properly designed and maintained. But once they are set up properly, they can really do a great job of spoon feeding the nutrients to your crop throughout the growing season. And that's another opportunity for folks in these sensitive areas in Stearns County to participate in this grant. And we're still working with our board to create our non-structural policy, which we're going to be laying out cost share dollar amounts and all that stuff with our board. Staff and myself are working through a draft to share with the board, and we hope to discuss that at our April board meeting, which will be April 7th. And we'll see what happens there. But the information will be coming out. Once we get that established, then we can get on the radio and just go crazy, Brad.
I can't wait.
Right.
Will those follow the regular EQIP standards and specs that
Yes.
NRCS developed?
Yeah, a lot of the state funds that we do receive, we always follow the field office tech guide. There's a lot of great research that has gone into developing the USDA protocol, and it brings value to the taxpayer following those established protocols to make sure that they're properly installed, maintained, and it really provides the natural resource benefit for all of us, and then also sustains the productivity with the farmer too. Were you going to say something else, Chris?
I was going to say something else, and part of irrigation water management that we have through EQIP, some of the things that Dennis has been talking about is basically we can provide cost incentives to help producers put that in or get that stuff set up, and some of those things would be basic irrigation water management, an intermediate, and then an advanced, and those are very based on what practices you implement with those, like if you have rain sensors or you have rain sensors with I want to call it tele that basically hooks straight to your phone, or there's just different options. And if you're interested in doing any upgrades or any changes to your irrigation, please give us a contact and let us know that you're interested, and we can work with you. We have engineers on staff and staff in the office that are knowledgeable about what's going on and what you need to do to make the best out of the water you're using, and even some of the nutrients and other things that you can apply to the crop. So if you're interested, give us a holler. We'll be more than happy to help you out.
So speaking of nutrient management, irrigation water management, the groundwater rule actually has the nitrogen fertilizer management plan, and then there's two parts to the rule. One is Part 1, where the groundwater protection rule focuses on restrictions to fall application of nitrogen fertilizer in vulnerable areas or in drinking water supply management areas with high nitrates. And then the second component of that rule is there are some areas that already are experiencing elevated nitrate levels, and the goal is to take action in these areas to reduce nitrate groundwater before the public water supply exceeds the 10 part per million. And we do have two communities in Stearns County. We're going to be developing a local advisory team, which is farmers and co-ops. That is for the communities of Cold Spring and Melrose. And we'll be having meetings this week, pre-meeting, just pull the people together and talk about how we can move forward with solving these problems. And one of the things I'm going to recommend to the local advisory team is that we would work with all of the farmers in the drinking water supply management area to encourage them to get certified under the Minnesota Ag Water Quality Certification Program. That program does a great job of looking at how you're managing all of your nutrients for every field and every crop on that field. So it's just a great opportunity to see where we're at with the baseline, if we need to make any improvements with management. And if we do need to make improvements with management, we can use the Environmental Quality Incentive Program or other programs to get them there. And then also, and this is really cool, is that the folks that are certified in these drinking water supply management areas will not be impacted by, say they're doing BMPs, but for some reason the nitrates continue to increase. Then you move into a regulatory component of the groundwater rule. but they would be protected from any future regulations because they are certified and they are doing the best management practices that we know of today, and that would protect them for 10 years from any additional regulations. So to me, it's just a great program. We got great staff to help our farmers through this. We've been working hand in hand with our crop advisors and co-ops to get the information to the farmer, and we got an opportunity here to take that to the next level in these drinking water supply management areas that are experiencing elevated nitrate levels.
As you mentioned, working in a partnership, I forgot to mention when I was talking CSP, if you are a producer with an agronomist or someone that you're working with when it comes to nutrient management or pest management or anywhere in your farming operation, if you're interested in CSP and you're looking to sign up, I would like to set up meetings with your agronomist and you and our staff so we can make sure that everybody's on the same page and understands which enhancements are going to work in your farming operation and what it's going to take to get those done so we have success all the way around. So if you have that opportunity, again, stop in the office or give us a call and we can set stuff up.
And just forgot to mention, if you have any questions that you weren't able to get answered today on air with Chris and I and Brad, you can go to our website, just Google Stearns County SWCD, and in the upper right-hand corner, submit a question to KASM. And you can put a question there, and we'll answer that question at the next time we're on, which is going to be in April.
And you could win a hat.
Yeah, you could.
Have you given away a hat yet?
No, we haven't.
Got to get those questions going.
Yes, exactly.
We
Come
had
on, people.
We had one question, but they didn't say what they didn't give us any information to give them a hat for. So
Yeah.
Well, doggone it. All
Right?
All right, gentlemen, thank you for your time today. Again, Dennis Fuchs from SWCD, Chris Hogge from NRCS. It is 10 o'clock. We'll be back with some news information.